let's talk about judgment. This has been such an interesting, meditative, contemplative place that I've been in. If you know anything about the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 2, so it's just much easier as the helper to look around to see what you can do to help other people. So you tend to pay attention to other people, and going within is the mystery. It's interesting because the inner workings of your mind and your emotions, like emotions, it's energy in motion. So whatever you're thinking about creates this energy in motion in you. And going inward is such, can I say, an adventure? Because that's where the magic happens. When you can take personal responsibility for how you feel, like this is all you, whatever, like this is the factory, right? Whatever's going on in here translates to here. It's how you feel, and it manifests in the body as well. So, if you think a negative thought that's deep enough, you'll say something like, that makes me sick to my stomach. Physical manifestation. And that has judgment. There's judgment in there. And you know what judgment is? It is negatively, let me just say this first, judgment will never go away. We have thinking minds, and we work on logic and reality and stuff like that. And even for us heart-centered people, we still have to sift and sort mentally, right? But judgment, when it's negatively charged, is just self-protection. You're just trying to keep yourself safe. You're trying to stay out of danger's way. And that might mean that you go find all the resources that prove that your point of view is the right point of view. That's judgment. But it's negatively charged because it doesn't leave you feeling better. And so feeling right does not necessarily helping you feel better. It just is that you found a defense. That may be the only way that you do feel better, is that you've found validation outside of yourself. But when you remove the negatively charged energy from judgment, it turns into discernment. And we've all been given the gift of discernment. And in discernment, there is a lack of fear, which means that there is a greater space for love. And when we're operating from love or faith or, the good energy that takes our thoughts to a better place, we get a better emotion. The energy that runs through us is improved. It's better. So when you remove the fear, which is what is causing the judgment to be negatively charged, your mood improves, your emotional state of being improves, your relief shows up, your peace comes in, because there's room for love. And love is just helping you discern for yourself what's right and what's wrong. And discernment comes from within. Judgment is everything that's happening out around you. But discernment is between you and your source, your higher power, your God. You and God get to discern what's right and what's wrong for you, and there's no need for outside validation. You just confidently moving forward, knowing what's right and what's wrong for you. And so if you can scale it back and take your brain to a place of positively charged energy, which may be a struggle. It may be really hard to do when you didn't have that role model growing up. You've had to figure it out and find the right path for you all along. If you've been doing it with judgment, there's been a lot of resistance. It's been really hard, like negatively charged judgment. But if you do it and you learn to do it with discernment, then you become emotionally stable. You're not all over the place. You're not angry, disappointed, frustrated, afraid. Like you're not looking around the world going, it's going to hell in a handbasket. You're actually looking at how good it's getting. You can see how good it's getting when you're using discernment, because you are bringing more light into the world, because you are doing what's right for you. And when you're doing what's right for you, there's no shame, no guilt, no resistance, no regret. It's just you living your best life. And that's what we need. We need you living your best life. And it's hard to do when you are so used to, because you've practiced and you're in a pattern of asking everybody else their opinion to see if it's going to make you feel safe or unsafe. And if you feel unsafe, that's what happened in the factory. It's yours. You created that. You're probably not unsafe, not in general speaking, right? If you get kidnapped, probably not safe. But that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about general life, looking around at people that we think are wrong, immoral, unfair, unjust. If we're looking around and we're dissatisfied with what we see, it's because we have fear. We are generating thoughts based in fear that we call judgment, that then goes out into the world as negative energy. And it's kind of ruining your inner world, because who wants to walk around being afraid, frustrated, mad, disappointed, angry? Who wants to spend their life doing that? We do, because we think it's normal. And those emotions are normal if you have those thoughts, because those thoughts go with those emotions. It is normal. But if you have good thoughts and you feel good, that's normal too. Because those thoughts and those emotions go together. The emotion, the energy in motion, they go together. You only have thoughts and emotions that go together. You cannot have a negative thought and a positive outcome. It's kind of like laughing and smiling at the same time. It's so contradictory, can't be done. Sadness, right? And pure joy and sadness. You can laugh and cry at the same time, but pure joy, pure sadness. They're two opposite ends of the spectrum, and it can be done. When you want to have a better outcome, because your emotional state is really everything, right? It affects your spiritual practices, it affects your physical practices, it affects your next mental practice. When you get in a good emotional state, it's because you did the work up here. You stopped looking at the world with judgment. You removed the fear from judgment so that love and light could pour in its place. Now you're operating from discernment, and that's coming from your higher self. That's where your magic is at. That's where your magic is at. You're magical. And it just is a matter of flipping the switch, which it may sound simple, and it is. It's a simple concept. But the ease of it is how willing you are to let go of what you were taught to believe, the lens you were taught to look out of, the level of support you believe you have or have never had. Because we're always looking for support if we haven't healed the wound of not having support. And that's when you're looking for validation outside of yourself. But when you do the inner work, you have all the answers to the test. Your discernment is always on point. You're never wrong. Even if you're using negative energy to charge up just judgment, you're never wrong if you think a negative thought about somebody else. You're not wrong because the emotion it produces is exactly on point with the thought you thought about. Does that make sense? If you're angry in your life because circumstances aren't ideal and you need a shift, but you're mad because it seems to be everybody else or everything else is stopping you from making that shift, that's you creating that in the factory. You put that product out in the world. Because the answers are not outside of you, and it's never anybody else's fault, and blame is just more negatively charged judgment. And if you're judging yourself, please stop. Don't do that to my friend. Make sure that you're not judging you. You sometimes can be the hardest person on you, harder than anybody else ever could be. So unplug, uncharge that judgment, and use discernment. If you're discerning that you need a change in your life, you need a shift in friends, you need to switch careers, you need to get more sleep, you're never wrong. because the thing that you want, the need that needs to get met, is for your improvement. It's because you believe you will feel better for having it, and you're right, you will. But you got to take that negative energy out of it so love can fill its place. And that positively charged, loving energy helps you discern what you need, how to get your needs met, and the direction you want to go without needing validation from any other source. You and your source know the right way for you. But sometimes we need a little bit of guidance on what is that I thought about? How did I get here? How did I draw a conclusion between that thing that I want and the negative energy I feel? How do I improve that so I can have a good life? So I can stop wasting my energy on negative thought patterns that get me nowhere. They're not improving my life. They're just frustrating me. And I go in circles, and I need support, and I need help. You don't need my validation, but you might need my guidance. And I have a mentorship just specifically for this. You don't have to have the worst life on the planet. You don't have to be going through the worst time in your life. In fact, if you are going through the worst time in your life, you'd be better suited for a grief and trauma healing group that I run. But if you are like sifting and sorting, and you know that life could get a little bit better, and you're tired of going in these frustrating, dramatic circles that drain your energy, that's what the mentorship is for. It's a year-long practice. It's you learning what's possible for you. You're just practicing every day. So we don't wait till the birthday party's over, or the weekend, or the holiday, or the summer vacation, because you will be practicing the whole time, going from where you are, which has some negative energy attached to it, to a very loving, positive mindset that changes how you operate in the world emotionally, spiritually, and physically, because your body always knows. So if this mentorship is something interesting to you, there is a link in my bio, lots and lots of details. Like, no one's trying to blindside you, lots of information in there. You can just go read up on it, see if it feels right to you, see if there's some things that you're like, ooh, I could use some of that. The beauty of this mentorship is that there is no homework. Not really. I mean, journal writing will happen quite naturally in this process, but the homework is contemplation as you go through life. You're like, oh, I've been operating at this lower vibrational energy because my mind is there, because I was conditioned that way, because it's really hard to break that pattern because I can't really see what it is. And you will have very specific goals on how to raise your energy, but it's just a matter of catching yourself in the act. It's like, oh, this is how I would normally react, and this is how I want to respond. This is my lower self, but this is how I want to show up in the world. And when you're operating where you can finally see what the goal is, like, where am I trying to go with this? That's when your life shows up for you. That's when, like, the whole thing about manifestation and what you're trying to manifest, all the positive energy, you just become a magnet for the best life ever. It can't help but not come to you because you're the most attractive person for the things you want. So you go from this low energy to the high energy, and you just can't lose. You're just the winner all the time, and you've painted a picture of success for yourself in a year's time. And it's practicing. Just practicing, because life will offer you every possible opportunity to go from where you are to where you want to go. And that place is super obtainable if you give yourself the time and the effort in your thoughts to go, oh, this is what I was doing, and this is what really feels so much better. Yeah. But it takes a year, because you're not going to pick this stuff up in a month, not in a course. It's just, you need guidance, you need to talk about it, you need a supportive environment, you need the guiding principles, and then you have a toolkit for life, and you're off and running. So if that's interesting to you, I would love for you to check it out, see if the details match your intent to live your best life ever. And we should talk, because having that conversation and getting to know you would be my favorite thing. So thanks for listening.